students at Al-Khawarizmi High School, the Directorate of Marrakesh, the Regional Academy of Marrakesh, Safi. Good afternoon, all second-year baccalaureate students across Morocco, dear viewers and followers. Welcome to this new episode from the second-year baccalaureate English program series. Today we're going to deal with a new lesson about English grammar. If you want, to follow my previous videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to click on the notification bell to receive my latest videos. If you do not opt for YouTube, of course, you can also log into my Facebook page, which is entitled English for All, as you can see on the screen. So now we're going to move to the next part here about relative clauses. So as you can see, we have two sentence examples. We have Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau, who is the president of Canada, is famous. And the second one is the lady who is on the wheelchair was a famous actress. The lady who is on the wheelchair was a famous actress. So as you can see here, we have two sentences which actually contains two relative clauses. So the first relative clause that we have here is this one here. Justin Trudeau, who is the president of Canada. And we have the lady who is on the wheelchair. So as you can see here, we have two relative clauses. But we have to ask a question here. Why do we need to learn these relative clauses? Why do we need to know them? So the importance of relative clauses lies in the fact that these relative clauses have a function which is defining if you want, the noun in the sentence. So we are going to actually look at two examples or two functions of relative clauses. The relative clauses can either be defining or non-defining. So the first one here is Justin Trudeau, who is the president of Canada, is famous. So in your opinion, is it important to add this information to the sentence or not? Of course it's not important. It's just some extra information that we add in order to specify the person that we are talking about. It's not important because we already know who is Justin Trudeau. So from the name, we know that Justin Trudeau is, if you want, the president of Canada. So in order to add some extra information about him, we add the relative clause here inside. So we call it a non-defining relative clause. We call it a non-defining relative clause because it's not important. So in order to graphically, show that the relative clause here is not important, we add commas. We add one comma before the relative clause and then another after the relative clause here. It means that this relative clause here can be dropped. It's not very important. It's not essential to define the person that we are talking about because the person is already defined to us. Number two, the lady who is on the wheelchair was a famous actress. So the lady here, we don't know who is the lady. The word or the noun that we have here is not defined. We do not have any hints about who this lady is. So in order to specify, or more particularly, in order to define the lady, we added this relative clause here. Which lady are we talking about? We're talking about the lady who is on the wheelchair. So the lady who is on the wheelchair was a famous actress. So is the information which is given in the relative clause important or not? It is very essential. We cannot drop it. We cannot omit the relative clause. And we cannot limit it using two commas, because it's not, as we call it here, a positive phrase. So here it is a positive, but we cannot actually omit it, or we cannot drop it. So this is called defining relative clause. So this is the second type, as you can see. It's called defining relative clause. This is why relative clauses are important to study, and this is why do we need to actually learn them very well. So as you can see here, Justin Trudeau, who is the President of Canada, is famous. So who is the President of Canada is just an extra or additional information, because we already actually defined the person by or with his name. In the second sentence here, the lady who is on the wheelchair was a famous actress. The lady here is not defined, so we need to add some extra information which will what? Which will define the lady. And here we have the relative clause defining, let's say, Justin Trudeau. So here we have non-defining relative clause and defining relative clause. Please remember that in the non-defining relative clause we need commas, and in the defining relative clause we do not need commas, because it needs, let's say, some link, direct link with the noun it defines. Concerning the names, so we can actually call it non-defining relative clause or defining relative clause. In some grammar books we call them non-restrictive or restrictive. Of course, relative clauses. Okay, so we can call them non-defining or non-restrictive, defining or restrictive relative clauses. Let's have a look at these sentences now. So we're going to do some exercises. We're going to actually state if the relative clause is defining or non-defining in the following sentences. So we're going to state whether the relative clause is defining or non-defining. Let's have a look at sentence number 1. We have my brother Karim, who is 7 years, is in primary school. So we are talking about a person that we know, a person who is already defined, because we have my brother and we have the name Karim. So we have my brother Karim, who is 7 years, is in primary school. So where is the relative clause? The relative clause is who is 7 years. So it's necessary to what? To actually use two commas to mark the relative clause. And as you can see here, my brother Karim is in primary school, and the relative clause here is non-defining. Non-defining. Let's make it clear, please. It's a non-defining relative clause. Okay? This is for this one here. Number 2, Justin Bieber or Justin Bieber, who is a young singer, is famous. So Justin Bieber, who is a young singer, is famous. So we already know the name. We have Justin Bieber or Justin Bieber. We have the relative clause is who is a young singer. As you can see here, the relative clause is this one. So we need to want to mark the relative clause with two commas, simply to say that the information here is not important. So we say it's non-defining, or it's a non-defining relative clause. Ferrari, which is an Italian car brand, is very expensive. So Ferrari, and we have which is an Italian car brand, which is the relative clause here, is not important, and hence it is non-defining as well, because we already defined the noun. Ferrari is a famous car brand. The next sentences, and let's have a look at the next relative clauses. So we have the lady who is in the red dress is our queen. The lady who is in the red dress. Who is in the red dress is the relative clause in the following sentence here. So as you can see, the lady here is not known to us. And we try to add some extra information in order to specify and determine which lady are we talking about. So we have the lady who is in the red dress here. It is a defining relative clause or restrictive relative clause, as we say, because it restricts the person that we are talking about. The next sentence is the man who is in the picture is a national hero. The relative clause in this sentence is who is in the picture. So we try to determine which man are we talking about. So the man who is in the picture is a national hero. This relative clause also here is a defining relative clause. The last sentence here is the boy who is in the car window isn't safe. The relative clause that we have here is who is in the car window. And as you can see here, it is also defining. It's a defining relative clause. So as you can see, we have three non-defining relative clauses. We have non-defining relative clauses. And we have three defining relative clauses. So we can also call them non-restrictive or restrictive. When we call them non-restrictive, it means that they are not important because they do not restrict the person that we are talking about. They do not determine, they do not state and specify the person that we are talking about. And when we say defining relative clause or restrictive relative clauses, it simply means that they restrict, they try to limit the person, specify or determine, or if you want, state exactly the person that we are talking about. So here we have the lady. It's not defined because we have many ladies, but we are talking about the lady who is in the red dress. So this one is a defining relative clause. And here we have the man. We have many ones there. So, but we are stating which man we are talking about with this defining relative clause. The man who is in the picture. And in the last one here we have the boy who is in the car window. The boy who is in the car window is, if you want, that a relative clause that we actually use in order to define which boy are we talking about, because there are many boys in that area or that situation. So as you can see here, we have tried to actually show the difference between defining relative clauses and non-defining relative clauses. Let's move now to more exercises. Here is a second exercise that we are going to work on with together. So as you can see here, we have complete the sentences with the right relative pronoun. So as you can see here, we have many sentences which in which some words are missing. So these words are going to be the relative pronouns we have in the list, or the ones that you know. Okay, so let's start with the first one. We have the girl mom died is an orphan. The girl mom died is an orphan. So we have to figure out the link between the girl and mom. It simply means that this woman here is the girl's mother. So we have a possessive case here, and the relative pronoun that we need to insert is the girl whose mom. Okay, we have a possessive pronoun here. So the girl whose mom died is an orphan. So here we have a defining relative clause. Number two, the gentleman I lent my car to got fined. Maybe because he actually drove, in the red light. Okay, so he got fined. He got a fine by the police officer. So the gentleman whom I lent my car to, because we have an object pronoun. So the gentleman whom I lent my car to got fined. So I lent my car to him. So if you want the relative pronoun we need here, what is appropriate is who. Serena Williams won the tennis championship, came to our school. So we needed Serena Williams who won the tennis match, or the tennis championship, sorry. So Serena Williams who won the tennis championship came to our school. Who won the tennis championship is a non-defining relative clause because we already know the person, Serena Williams, the American tennis woman. We have Trump, who is the president of the US. So, Trump, who is the US president, is a bad omen to US foreign policies. So, Trump, who is the US president, is a bad omen to US foreign policies. The city I visited my last holiday inspired me a lot. So here, the relative pronoun that we need is that which is used to replace an object or thing. So the city which. If we refer to the city as a place, we can also use the city where I went in my last holiday. Okay? So the city which I visited my last holiday inspired me a lot. The bike, the bicycle I bought yesterday is my daughter's birthday gift. So the bike which, or if you want, we can also use that. That I bought yesterday is my daughter's birthday gift. The restaurant I had dinner last night doesn't work Mondays. So if we refer to the restaurant as a place, we can also use where. So the restaurant where I had dinner last night doesn't work Mondays. Amazon, an e-commerce website, makes billions of dollars. So Amazon, which is, we need is, which is an electronic commerce, electronic or online commerce if you want. E-commerce website makes billions of dollars. So as you can see here, this is the end of today's lesson. So we have talked about the relative clauses. What do we mean by a relative clause and what are the different types of relative clauses? We have tried to give some examples of relative pronouns that we use in order to make relative clauses. Thank you so much for following me. Please, if you want more videos about my English lessons, subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to click on the notification bell in order to receive my latest videos. If you do not opt for YouTube, of course, you can go to my Facebook page, which is entitled English for All. Thank you very much for following me and see you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.